The following is a presentation of the Force Center podcast feed.
From the center of the galaxy, this is the Force Center podcast feed, and this is a very special episode of the Force Center podcast feed. This is episode 1 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi Report. I'm Joseph Scrimshaw.
I'm Ken Napzok, and it's also special, Joseph, because for the first time in a couple years, we're really recording in the same room.
We are in the same room, your hotel room,
Yes.
on rolly chairs.
On rolly chairs. I think I got all the ACs and bathroom fans off, a little echo, but it's a lot of fun to be out and about face to face.
Yeah, no, this is really great. This is obviously we are incredibly excited about these 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we are going to talk a lot about them. But this is also a part of just the experience of being a fan, right? Of when you see it, how you see it, and even this recording. Ken's got his old radio professional boom mic arms, all adjustable, and it feels like we should be introducing, the hits of the 90s and then, doing a raffle. This feels like very old school broadcasty.
Look, I took advantage of only having to drive down the 5 with you in the car because I just loaded my car with everything I owned and moved into this hotel space, and it's a lot of fun to just bring the whole studio down. And unlike Chicago, when we recorded everything on a microphone plugged into a phone, which worked just as well, but this is fun.
Yeah. So let's get into Kenobi. I got myself a little ginger beer. I got a Kenobi action figure. You got some sort of juice to help you out?
I'm hydrating because we celebrated after last night.
Some peach mango hydration. And with that, we are going to move from drinks to Kenobi. The first 2 episodes dropped. These don't have chapter titles, which is one of the many stylistic differences from some of the Disney Plus shows that we've seen in the Mandoverse. Just episode 1, episode 2, both directed by Deborah Chow. Of course, all the episodes are. Right. And then the writers listed. I didn't write down all the breakdown of credits. Stuart Beatty, Hassan Amini, Joby Harold, all showing the history of this project. We've talked about that in depth before, and maybe we'll look at it again. But the history of the credits is really tracking how this started as a movie, then one version of a television show, then another version of the television show. It is a symbol of everybody's agents and managers doing great work to make sure they get credit, and a history of the evolution of this project to this final form, which seems to be truly shepherded by Deborah Chow.
Absolutely, I think all roads lead to Deborah Chow's work here. Yeah, no, it's like parchment. It's like an ancient scroll where you're like, oh, this is the history of this land here, the Kenobi show.
And this person had the darksaber, and then this person had the darksaber, but it's with Kenobi writing credits. We do want to set the scene a little bit. I think I'm sure everybody had different experiences. This premiere of Kenobi has been fascinating in the chaos that it feels like Kenobi himself would say about the release date of his television show, Always on the Move. It was announced on a different day, then it was moved, and here at Celebration it was revealed that people who got into the big Lucasfilm Studio Showcase panel would go to this fan event screening, and then it was announced, it was whispered and then fully announced that it would actually be premiering early, and you could see the chaos. And I'm sure that happened in everybody's life, right? Where hardcore fans are like, I'm waiting, I'm staying up. What? I think available now.
Even folks not at Celebration probably ran into that. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we'll talk more in our Celebration recap episodes. Everything, you and I had kind of an interesting journey to not get into the big panels, which was a comedy of errors. But we did get. I want to shout out some folks, including the Resistance broadcast folks, John, James, and especially Lacey, who reached out and were like, "Hey, we have some wristbands. Maybe we can get you into the Kenobi screening." And you and I had a couple people kind of do that kind of thing. We turned it down.
Yeah.
We not because we're old grumps, but we really wanted just to be alone. Well, you and I in the same room watching Kenobi with quiet and little noises and not loud screams, which is a fun experience. But we chose not to this time.
Yeah, no, I have enjoyed a lot of the experiences I've had in theaters, Star Wars films, MCU films. But there is that sheer factor where you literally miss lines.
Yeah,
and there's, I think, for Kenobi, it's kind of a different energy. If they were doing it tonight as like a repeat showing, I think I'd really want to go and feel the energy of seeing it with a crowd. But this first time, especially like this isn't like huge and bombastic. This is quiet Kenobi reflections. Like, I want to hear every mumble of being tired. And we did. Want to set the scene a little bit of we're here in this hotel room. Did you think you got something different out of the experience of watching it? Like we had to set up elaborate streaming systems. And, kind of the television was a little dark. All these things, like this little bit of lack of perfection. Yeah, we're not in our normal homes. How did that affect your viewing?
It actually stressed me out all the way because I not only brought like HDMI cable to hook to I actually brought a computer monitor and a Bluetooth sound bar in case I needed. And then luckily, this hotel, you never can tell. They had an HDMI hookup, but then the brightness was a problem. And so I had a low level of stress the entire time. And then it's hotel Wi-Fi. And then we were worried that at midnight, everyone's going to be watching. Well, because it moved up, people had parties, people had dinners, the big 501st bash. And I don't think as many people were able to watch it at 9. So we were so blessed. The first episode, great. We had a little bit of buffering the second one, which stressed me out even more. But it's a delicate balance. You have all these things, wires talking to wires, and and you're not in your home base. You got to face the fear. It did feel like Kenobi being forced to leave.
Yeah, embrace the imperfection, and we'll get into the big ideas. But it was like, this isn't about status. This is about who you are, who do you choose to be in your actions. It was really great. It was wonderful to share it with you, to have the quiet, intimate Kenobi time. I tweeted about this, but I brought this Kenobi action figure, Revenge of the Sith era. One of the only figures I bought in Revenge of the Sith. And this guy is my desk buddy.
Yeah.
And he has been in Minneapolis, in London, and Los Angeles. So I plan to bring him here with me so he could watch his own premiere. And that was a lovely experience. Any other thoughts about setting the scene before we dive into analyzing?
No, other than it definitely, it was so fun. It was just overall really fun. Low level stress, yes, and all that good. And you and I had an interesting day and journey that started not bad, but just like some frustration vibes, and then a great panel with Alex and Molly. We'll talk about later on the podcast feed, but. It just all ended. All roads led to Kenobi, and it was a fun experience.
Absolutely. So let's dive into Obi-Wan Kenobi and also Riva and Leia and the Grand Inquisitor in the eyes of Anakin / Vader. So many great things. What was your overall reaction? Was it what you expected? Was it what you hoped for? All of those things. What were your big picture reactions?
I'm just in love with these 2 episodes. I really am. And one of the reasons I'm in love, and you and I talked a little bit about last night when we walked to a hotel bar afterwards to celebrate, was almost everything we wanted, maybe even some beats we could have predicted or did predict. Everything was there. And instead of being a checklist of yep, it was, oh my God, this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And not that Boba Fett or Mando or Rise of Skywalker Solo aren't that. They offer surprises and different creative choices. This one, years in the making, Kenobi in this time period, and we definitely get surprises, definitely get reveals. But you know what I mean? Like I watched it again after trying to go to bed, but staying up late to watch it, and it was just like, this is 100% what I wanted, and therefore I think needed, and it just hit on all levels because of that.
Yeah, no, I really agree. I think it was, there were definitely some surprises, but the surprises are in the nature of not the what, but really the how. Like I'd been obsessing over these last couple of days as we got ready for this of like, we still don't know the exact inciting incident. We know the Inquisitors are coming. Maybe another Jedi gets in trouble. And we knew that he was going to have to be challenged to be a Jedi again and help. Right?
Yeah.
But exactly how that was going to play out, him resisting the call. And for me, like, I was not surprised that Leia was involved. That was a delightful surprise that she was the call that he couldn't resist, ultimately.
Yeah. To have Bail and Brejo Organa on a hologram message going, you got to help.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're going big. It's big.
It's really big. And I think that was one of the other things. Obviously, that whole intro that is a beautiful summary of the prequels.
Oh yeah.
Just the sheer power of that. If you're a fan, that it's beautifully edited summation of these central characters, the reason for their traumas,
right?
And also just really practically great. Of like, hey, if you're not a superhero prequel fan or you haven't watched them in a long time, this is a great summary, and you don't. It's really letting people in. So I appreciated that for people who aren't like us and didn't just rewatch the prequels out of desire to see them. And it just communicates some of the Disney Plus shows are going to be crawling into little corners of the galaxy, and I'm hungry for that. That's not what this one is, right? This one is like, I was thinking like, this is a sequel to the prequels. I mean, I know the original trilogy is technically what the prequels are pre of, but it just was like, this is the direct follow-up. This is episode 4 of the prequels up to a point.
Up to a point, the whole previously on the prequels beginning just added this air of this is this one big story. Star Wars is, including the shadows and the small corners we're going to keep playing in, and the new characters we've yet to meet, in High Republic, Old Republic, Middle Republic, whatever. But it's all Star Wars, and just to see the prequels edited so beautifully, that was like here's the emotional core of the prequels in this little intro. It just made it all seem like one, and all seem little more validation for the prequels, which are riding high in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But just like, cool. I want to know, you and I are like, excited. Grace, my fiance, she's back home, and she texted me. I kind of like texted her, was like, you got to watch it. I want to wait for you. I said, stop, grab the dogs, go to the couch, watch it. She's a prequel kid. She's a prequel baby. And she was blown away by that. She was texting me during that opening. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is and I just love that, but I would love to get the perspective of someone who may, I don't know, I don't like the prequels, or maybe I just absolutely don't like them. When they see that and they're here for Kenobi, I want to know, does it change their view on the prequels? Does it open a door to a bigger prequel conversation?
Yeah, I'm really curious about that, because I do have friends who are like, okay, I get it. I like all the ideas. I don't like the execution.
Yeah.
And like the summary was just like, this is the ideas of the prequels beautifully executed. And I don't entirely agree with that, and that's a whole other conversation.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of the other big picture things for me was just absolute thrill at Obi-Wan's character. Like, obviously, Ewan McGregor, phenomenal actor. For years and years, I wanted this show just because, hey, he's one of my favorite characters. He's a phenomenal actor. I'd take an hour of him bartering. Now I know I'd take 6 hours of him talking to his Jawa friend Tika. But the fact that it is both a different Kenobi and the same Kenobi, like that's what should happen. Yeah. But I'm so happy that it did, to see him tortured, broken, out of shape, physically, mentally, in his relationship with the Force itself. But within that, still having a little bit of that, he's got wit, he's got snark. He's got that grumpy impatience, but also like then he stops himself and realizes, no, slow down, be kind. And even though it's an entirely different reality, what I've always loved about Kenobi is he's like, I'm centered and I go and do my job. It's not about adventure and excitement, You know, that line to Dooku in Attack of the Clones, like, good, I have work to do. And even though it's this sad, broken work, it's still Kenobi would just be like, nose down, do the work. It used to be run around the galaxy, saving people and solving problems because I am a Jedi Knight and a Jedi Master. And now it's, carve out some meat from the fallen space beast, save a little for Miopi. Do my chores, watch over Luke. I'm doing my job. I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Jedi who does his job.
Absolutely love that, and absolutely love the rhythm of, it wasn't like a montage, but it almost worked of, show up for work, cut the meat. It's the old Simpsons, knife goes in, guts goes out. It's the Osaka meat concern. But to know that is every day for 10 years or whatever, whatever it is, but it is the mission, it is Kenobi. But then when that's up, just thrown up, when the table's just overturned of your life at this moment for Kenobi, I don't know, it just drove home the change and what he needs to do, and the fear, and kind of not hiding behind the routine, but like you said, just comfortable in the routine. And this is my duty, my mission. And I got a slice off of meat for piece of meat for my Opie. I was really moved by how that was put together.
Yeah, no, and it was great to show it's necessary, but there's also the safety in it.
Yes.
The boredom in it. We got to watch Kenobi just work a crappy job. I used to work at I've mentioned this a million times. I had a brief temp job at a factory that shrink wrapped knives. Yeah. And I used to sit there and dream about action figures. Like, Kenobi's practically shrink wrapping knives like me.
Yeah, see, I connected a little bit on when I originally lost my radio job in '98. I got a job in the local movie theater, and certainly wasn't recognized a lot. But every once in a while, like, You sound like that guy on the radio. No, just you want your ticket? You want Saving Private Ryan? Okay. Great. And I love a lot of that going on.
The radio war is over.
Yeah.
We lost.
Take your microphone and bury it in the sand.
If we ever quit podcasting, we have to ceremonially bury our microphones on the beach in Venice. Just two other kind of big picture things, because I do want to get to the big theme talk. The Leia thing was a delightful fulfillment of a possibility. I don't want to say like a huge surprise, but what was so gratifying is it was a continuation of a lot of stuff that's happened in the books, not in terms of like actual plot points, but in what her life is like, and is fans' view and a lot of modern creators' view, their view on Leia. So continuing the books, continuing the mission of the Rise of Skywalker, to say it's kind of clear in the original trilogy that in concept, Luke and Leia are the Skywalker twins, equally important. Right. But the way those films were structured back in the day, there's much more focus on Luke. And there's been this sort of, to me, great mission to say, let's take the promise of what is told and what George says in interviews, that Leia is the leader. Leia is the one who knows what's going on, but she's also the child of Anakin and Padme. And she is the other hope. Yeah. And the two of them together are the hopes. And the fact that this series is really delving into that to the point where Bail Organa says she's just as important as he is. Yeah. And really implies, I'm not disparaging Luke, but he doesn't need you right now. And she does. That elevating of Leia in practice to where she has been in concept. Yeah. The continuation of that is just phenomenal.
Yeah, really was moved by that. And when we get to the themes, I will contend, sir, I would like to state in my case that Leia delivers the emotional core of both of these episodes. Some of the big themes come from her mouth, which is, we'll talk about the performance. It's so wonderful. But yeah, no, absolutely right. And I think it's important to mention Rise of Skywalker. Those two blades are needed to save the day, and it's a long road to get there. And growing up, Leia was the complete package in a way. Like, she shows up, she's the A+ student, she's everything. And you can make your jokes. Even in this series, we can make a joke already. 2 episodes in, you got Leia, high society, learn all these things, got her spirit. You got Luke, vroom, vroom, vroom. And I think I've seen some of that on the internet.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. But I just love that we see Leia at a different time, and Bale's so right. And then we get to see that she isn't yet the complete package, which is why it's important. And we to get her to where she's going to go. And Bale knows it. That great scene. I don't want to get too far ahead down that path, breaking down this stuff. But yeah, I think you're right. It does. I don't want to say correct. It's not correcting an error. It's just, like you said, the way it was structured, original trilogy. But Lucas has said for years, these two bumbling idiots, Han and Luke, and Leia's the rebellion, and that's her story. And to play into that, to respect that, man, that's a lot of fun to go back to this point. And now we're going to see the journey for these two 10-year-old twins.
Yeah, no, forward. Absolutely. And we'll talk more about Leia's character and the balance of, what a hero she is and how wise she is, and that she is still a child and she has fears and all those things. Final thing for me that I want to say, big picture before I forgot, is, with all this team of writers, I'm really, really pleased at how deep and powerful the story is, but also just the line-to-line dialogue. I feel is really sharp. It's great performers. It's well directed. You feel the emotional weight and the trauma, but there are a ton of laugh lines. And to me, it blended really, really well. A lot of great character-based humor from great performances, but also a really sharp script at the end of the day with all those writers involved.
Yeah, and a great job of director Deborah Chow as the director to pull in all styles and modes, and interpretations of dialogue into one cohesive tone. Yeah, even someone like Kumail, who Johnny just killed it. But that's him, right? It's him still doing a Portlandia bank account rhythm and bit. He does that, but it works so well, especially my second viewing. It's like, I really love the humor, the jokes, everything that he was putting in there. And so it all just comes together so nicely. And one of the final big things that I wanted in the series is Big fan of Mando, big fan of Boba Fett. But I've said before, some of the rhythms, some of the pacing, some of the dialogue, it's more a different style. It's John going to not just his own writing style, but that prequel stuff that George will say. It's a different type of tone. And I just was like, I love that. I have no problem with it. I want Obi-Wan to have a little bit of, I don't want to say modern take, but I wanted a different momentum in each scene, and I got it.
Yeah.
It felt like I was watching something else. Not something else. I don't want to say it. I don't want to sound like I'm slagging Mando and Boba. But I just really loved the approach to the acting and directing in this episode.
Absolutely. And I think the tonal differences are appropriate because Mando and Boba Fett, I think the reason that Favreau is kind of setting that tone and style is he's dealing with a lot of people who are behind helmets and masks and emotionally repressed.
Yeah.
And these are characters who are being ripped wide open. Not that there isn't emotion, Din and Grogu and all that, but it is that dealing with how do we express it? Yeah. So the fact that these episodes moved fast, raw and emotional, all great.
Yeah.
So let's dive into then the big ideas of these two episodes and probably the show as well in the big themes. We both scurried off and took our notes. Where did you go first for the big ideas of these two introductory episodes?
Yeah, and I'll say this: they both work really well together. It almost like a little theme arc, right?
Yeah,
it's definitely works really well. You had mentioned something about your status might not necessarily be who you are. So maybe off of that, I put, particularly in the first episode, is what you say isn't what you're really feeling, and you got this. I think it starts. The core of it is Leia going to her cousin, which is one of my favorite scenes. Look, you little wispy mustache punk. You ain't who you think you is. And you're afraid. And you're just repeating what your father said because you're afraid of your father. I thought that was the core of it because you got Riva saying a lot of things about what she's owed, this quest for power. And the Jedi can't protect you to everyone else. We know we're going to dive into where that comes from with her being in the opening scene. So what she's saying isn't really what's going on. And then Kenobi just listing all these reasons why he can't join the fight as asked by Bail and Breha. He's hiding the fear, which is the other big theme, the hidden fears. The second episode, they get to die you, and the one guy's like, hey, you can't communicate in or out. A lot of secret. Everyone's hiding something here. But then later on, Leia has the line like, how can I trust you if you're hiding something? So everyone hiding these hidden fears was what I was going to in some of the big themes.
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement with you. I kind of broke it down into some of the fear elements, and then there's even more with this idea of like station authenticity. So I want to put a pin in station and authenticity and talk about fear for a moment. I think you're so right. We talk about fear a lot. Star Wars talks about fear a lot.
Yeah.
To me, fear was really portrayed in these episodes is something that holds you back and keeps you in place.
Yes. 100%.
Keeps you from connecting to other people, and it keeps you from trying to do the things that you maybe want to do, think you should do. Yeah. We just have on a practical level, right? We have Obi-Wan. He has the mission to protect Luke, but he's also hiding behind it. We know the story of Luke dreaming of the stars, but we get a kind of different perspective on it when, Owen throws the T-16 Skywalker model back. And, and Obi-Wan is saying, like, there's so much more to the galaxy than your farm, Owen. So we have that brief little taste to remind us that's Luke's journey, right?
Yeah.
Of being held back on the farm and dreaming of something else. And then we really get this perspective of Leia has an entirely different life where she is being groomed to be a part of the galaxy. She's being groomed to lead Alderaan, but also be in the Senate. But right now, at the same age as Luke, across all this time, she's looking up at dreaming of the stars.
Yeah.
She's got that line at one point when when Breha takes her back and she says, it's like living in a prison, right? And there's all these ideas of fear being held back. I think with the Obi-Wan, obviously it's this melding of where does caution end and fear begin?
Yes.
Right? Because the Jedi they do need to hide, and him exposing himself to the Empire is a danger to Luke. But right now he's hiding behind it. And I think when Bail finally, when he resists the call to help the other Jedi, he resists the call to help Leia. It's so out of fear, right? Yeah. Of failing another person, of like, find somebody else, she'll be better off. I will fail.
Yeah.
And then when Bail comes all the way to his awesome studio cave, his studio apartment cave, that is a classic discussion of fear in Star Wars. And Bale is saying, yeah, you failed Anakin. I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
We have to move on. And in particular, when he's trying to convince her, like, go help her. Obi-Wan just says, Bale says, you can save her. I trust.
Yeah.
I trust you more than anyone to help her. And Obi-Wan says, what if I can't?
Right.
And that is fear holding you back, right? That's just the
big thing for all of us.
Right? And that's the total well, she's in trouble and she's going to be in trouble even if you don't. But it's the classic, I'm holding myself back from taking any action because of the fear of failure, the fear of what might happen. It's Luke going to Octo of what if any action I take makes it worse, right?
Yep.
So I would want to pause there and let you share your Obi-Wan fear thoughts.
No, it's great because I think the younger Jedi, and we are still doing a little bit of this on the fly, so I didn't get his full name.
I don't
character name.
I think his Nari is his
Nari.
first name.
Thank you. That was a great sequence, especially when I watched it again when the screen was a little brighter on my computer laptop versus the hotel TV. Because it is a lot of what you're talking about. It is the call for help that Jedi are not supposed to turn down, and it's a denial. But when Kenobi gets off the EOP to be like, hey, first he's like, you're mistaken. You're mistaken. All right, you're not mistaken. Here's the deal. We can't do this, and and I think Kenobi's hiding behind a little bit of you're endangering my mission. Is how it kind of starts. He doesn't want to say it, but you can't be here, man. I got more important things to do. Get out of here.
Yeah, and he can't say, I'm guarding Anakin Skywalker's kid. Will you
Could you
bleep off?
move?
Yeah, he can't say that.
Can't say it, so he hides behind a little bit, but then it's a complete failure when he sees him hanging there. He sees it dead. I think that can only add to the fear, and add to the fear of just it's us in our own lives. Like if you don't give it a shot, you never know type of thing. But that's more of a you get up and do it. But when Bale comes along and Kenobi says, "I'm not the man you remember," and Bale says, "You're going to have to be." And just directly tells him, move on, be done with it. Sure, that's easy. That's a pick yourself up and get on going. But it's the truth of what you're talking about, the fear holding you back. I think I see it with Riva, who has an absolute heavy amount of trauma that she did not get to deal with.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see, if we're going to talk, I think we're going to see that we're going to deal with that. But that's that fear of change, fear of what we always talk about, the new normal, fear of moving forward, fear of what if it gets worse.
Yeah, fear of loss, fear of loss of control. Yeah.
And so when that Jedi's hanging there dead in the it's like, there's that fear of it could get worse. But on him, I think he's like, look, I didn't take action, didn't do anything. And this is what's happened. And I think that would drive him forward a little bit, I would hope. Bale shows up.
I love the way the inciting incident of Nari, the Jedi, showing up and Obi-Wan being like, no, I can't help you and you should hide. And then also the call for Leia, the way that they are intertwined for him to see, do I want to see Leia hanging?
Yeah.
From...
Quite frankly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really, what pushes him forward. I also wrote down that Bale just literally says, you're using the boy as an excuse.
Yeah.
Right? Boy, how many times have I done that or seen other people do that of I would like to do the scary thing, but I've got this thing that sounds like a really good reason. And maybe there's an element of truth to it, but that's not what you're dealing with now.
Yeah.
Someday that might be a legitimate choice for Obi-Wan, right? To be like, I can't help somebody else because Luke really does super need me right now. That might be legitimate someday, but I love that Bale's like, but that's not legitimate right now. You're hiding behind it.
Isn't it so interesting too? Because we've known this as Kenobi's mission for 19 years, and we even go to Rebels Twin Sons episode. It's definitely his mission, and you and I have been talking about along with Jennifer on the channel. We're so excited to see Kenobi have to turn that page, get to the new chapter in his life. So that's where we're going. But for years, I've been one of those people like, well, Luke's his mission. And Kenobi, he's the poster child Jedi. He'll do his mission. And to find him in this point where Bale just says your mission, it's twofold. Mm-hmm. Remember that meeting? Remember? I took one, you took the other, but it's the same mission. And I, as a fan, just love turning that Luke mission on its head a little bit for me. As Kenobi's got to do a little bit more and connect to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And Bale just being like, you rip that Band-Aid off, man. You're afraid.
And the Skywalker twins were both with adoptive parents, and one of them does not want your help, and one of them is begging you for it. That's really powerful. I agree with you with Riva. We don't have actual confirmation, but I feel like the fact that this entire once we get past the prequel recap, begins with that Order 66 view. I think she is one of those Padawans. I think this is starting from a place of her trauma. To center it, and trauma is, obviously that's a place that fear can come from, and I think she's trying to resolve some of that with the Kenobi chasing. So definitely we'll talk about Riva more. But then I like that this big fear idea. Leia is caught up in it as well, but she's still a child, and she does get frightened several times, understandably so. But she has mastered her fear up to a point, and I love that is. Her own skill and training and instinct, but also the inheritance of her mother. And I've already seen on social media, people being so in love of you remind me of someone, she was fearless too and stubborn. But, that, in combined with her understanding of what fear is, right? Because that's what you started with, that speech to her awful cousin.
Just the worst.
Right? But about like fear, you think you are afraid, and you think if you make other people afraid of you, that it will give you power. And it won't. And it feels like she's accidentally, lecturing Riva too, right?
She's lecturing Tarkin already.
Yeah.
The tighter you grip, the more star systems you can lose. That Leia being included into that early on. I really love that connection for me. But yes, what the meaning too.
Yeah, so she is a character. She's young and exploring the galaxy and still going through fear herself. Yeah. But she has an understanding of it, which helps her get past it.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. You want to go on to this idea of station and authenticity?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Kenobi slicing meat.
Oh, yeah. At the meat station. No, there was just so much in this about what you said of who are you versus what is your title, or what do people perceive your value to be based on what your title is? Does your title bestow value on you, or does the actual actions you take bestow value? So there's a lot about how Obi-Wan has fallen from his Jedi status. We get that just from that prequel recap where he's flying around, lightsabering around, and now he's just like, time to feed the Eope. But there's so much about his, denying his power, his true self, this great through line where even Leia doubts his authenticity of like, you are not a real Jedi. You're old and beat up. And maybe you're just kind of cosplaying a Jedi because you have a lightsaber, but you don't seem to be willing to do any Jedi things. And it is about power, but I think it is also about a willingness to act.
Yeah.
Are you a true Jedi? Because I heard they help people,
right,
and get past their fear. And that's his little arc in this episode of, I think, reclaiming the Jedi title, not just in like, okay, I got my lightsaber out for a second and I almost used it, but like the rescuing of her, right? To show that I am who I say I am. Yeah. I am acting as a Jedi. Therefore, I am a Jedi. Yeah. That's what matters. Not the robes, not the finery, not the temple on Coruscant, but who are you as a Jedi? And then, of course, that I think is highlighted so much. Our thoughts are led that way by meeting an actual inauthentic Jedi. Yeah. A fake Jedi.
The false prophet, I'm calling him, yes.
The false prophet with the comedy of fake Jedi-ness. And even he eventually takes true Jedi action of being willing to help and being selfless. Like, he's a scammer, but he's a Jedi at heart. So it's, again, it's about labels and a struggle for authenticity. He's not an authentic Jedi, but is he in spirit because he took the actions of a Jedi?
There's a lot of comments on actions and where people might feel they stop. I love the Brea's sister, and I guess it would maybe be her brother-in-law, who are also like in talking to Bail, kind of celebrate. The Republic messed up. We got this great empire thing going, and Bail being like, no. And then I think it's the brother-in-law saying, "I'll just save that bleeding heart stuff for the Senate. That's your job. Be real here." And it's like the opposite for Bail. That is who I am. The title doesn't matter. I'd be doing this if I had no title. So that's at play too. All through these episodes.
Yeah, he can't quite show his true self. Yeah. Brea's like, let's get a drink.
Yeah. But even then, like, no. I am who I say I am. Love that. And even you see in Breha as a queen, and there's someone who has this title, husband's power, always signing things, always having iPads put in her face. She's signing stuff, but she is who she is too. And so for Leia to come from that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is one of those moments that ties Leia and Obi-Wan together, that Leia is going through this crisis of authenticity too, right? Where her cousin is cruel to her because she's not a real Organa, you know? And this is one of the moments where she isn't just like heroic and perfect. Yeah, she's wounded and human too, and has that doubt. And we get to have that great scene with Bail, that moment where he reaches out to her heart. Yeah, and like, you are an Organa, because this goes to all sorts of issues of found family, from Rebels to Rey taking on the name Skywalker. It's such a powerful Star Wars theme. But in this particular case, everybody feeling like, I have all these identifiers. I'm an Organa, but maybe I'm not really. And Leia seems dissatisfied with the princess role, right? Yeah. She says, all I do is wave. It's not real. Yeah. And then even when Obi-Wan's being his formal self with his proper accent and saying, Your Highness and Princess, and she's in that dirty alley, and he's like, you don't need to say princess, I'm just Leia. So that's this whole arc of questioning the titles and what is the meaning behind them. Well, the meaning behind an Organa is, your parents say you're an Organa because they love you and you're part of the family. Who cares what your lousy cousin says? Yeah. And you're a princess not when you wave in a parade, but when you become a leader like your mother, right? Yeah. That's that moment of Kenobi giving her authenticity of like, I know Kenobi doesn't even know she's going through it, right? But like, you're pushing back on princess because you think it's just formality and waving. But Kenobi sees her and goes, you are authentic. Yeah. You're like your mother. You're a natural leader. And you're, no matter what you do, you're going to lead and you're going to help people. And that's who you are. Screw every other title. That's who you are, Leia.
That's the core. Yeah, that's the core. Yeah, and the standards of what is an Organa, what isn't what was it, and you are that. Again, going into to what you're talking about here with all the titles. I love the play of the false prophet versus the real Jedi too. But then even Riva, like you're this you are this tough killer. You're one of the best, but what is that? Who are you really beyond that? I think that's going to unravel and be exposed in a good way as we go on. I'm predicting redemption early, but that's for later.
I've been wondering about redemption, for a long time for her, and I'm sure it's going to be on the table as a possibility. Could be. Yeah. I think she really supports this theme and is tied with Obi-Wan and Leia as well, because the Grand Inquisitor is also a crappy cousin. Not literally, but the saying, you are the least of us. You came to us from the gutter. Everybody is clawing at Station. She even says on Tatooine, this place is beneath us. Yeah. That first Jedi they get, they're like, ugh, dregs. Yeah. Even in the Jedi they're hunting, it's like all about status, station. Like, all we have left are Jedi crumbs, and where are we going to get the honor? And the the popularity in the in being seen as powerful, And I think the other Inquisitors are maybe not. They think that she just wants Kenobi for the status bump, and it seems like she wants him for more than that. Is her authentic self?
Yeah, absolutely. I always wonder if the Inquisitors hang around and be like, "What's your damage? How'd you get here?"
Yeah. You came to us from the gutter. Let's. I think this is a good time to just talk about what we think is going on with Riva. Yeah, I'm kind of the mind. We'll see where it goes. Obviously, that she. I love that she went into the records and found this connection between Organa, Bail Organa, and Obi-Wan. The line she says about Kenobi being willing to rescue Leia, she says. During the war, he fought side by side with her father. Yeah, which could be Bail, or it seems weird that Riva would know that Leia is the child of Anakin, but that line is ambiguous. Yeah. To me, I'm just really interested in this idea. If she is one of those Padawans, went through that horrific trauma, fell into a gutter, whatever that means from the Grand Inquisitor's perspective, tortured like all the Inquisitors are, into this other thing. If she has some better understanding of what happened behind the scenes, and I looked up to Master Kenobi. He was training the Chosen One. And then I was at the temple, and I saw the Chosen One killing everyone. And I'm going to get Kenobi out of classic cycle of violence. Yeah. I was innocent and young, and big picture, you failed me. You were the one who was supposed to guide this guy, and he slaughtered us all and took everything from me. And, you know, she's got that line with the other Inquisitor of like, what do you think you're going to get by capturing Kenobi? And she says, what I'm owed. Yeah. It's vengeance, right? This will fill the hole in my soul. I need someone to blame for my trauma, and it's going to be this guy. Absolutely.
Trying to control it and trying to fix it in all the ways that are incorrect. Yeah, that those are two of my favorite lines. What I'm owed, and then when she tells, she's telling the citizens there of the Jedi won't protect you anymore. They won't. Trust me, I know.
Right?
They couldn't protect me. They couldn't protect me. And you and I have some wild, fun, almost predictions of what she could have seen that night.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that we've all known ever since Hayden has been announced as Vader that we want some FaceTime. We got some eye time in the tank. Yeah. But the possibility of flashbacks, Ewan McGregor has said things that sound like they have a Clone Wars flashback scene, which would be amazing. But that's another great time, a narratively important time to have FaceTime with Hayden. If we get him in the temple and furious. Yeah, and I don't want it for the cool Anakin Skywalker killing people. What I want is that moment where Anakin is he's marching into temple because he's been told you need to drench yourself in the dark side. Mm-hmm. You're going along with this lie that the Jedi are going to turn on the Senate. Mm-hmm. You're lying to yourself that I'm doing all this to save Padme. But once he walks in there, I've always thought he's just got to feel all the you failed me. Yeah, Jedi, you were cold and cruel, and you kept me from my mother, and I can let it all out. And I would love if we saw a little bit of that and saw it all through Riva's eyes to explain her trauma.
Right. My thought on, and you touched on it, is Vader marching in there and wiping everybody out has a little bit of that. I mean, first of all, that shot walking in with the Vava first into the temple is really great and cool. Yeah. And, Ryan invokes it, Last Jedi again, without a doubt. But that there would be some responsibility for those actions, and this Riva being part of that continuing damage. Yeah. And that too, you're badass, cool, killing everyone down, wiping out Sindraligan, any Shakti, any other Jedi that might be in there. It has consequences that keep cascading out like waves, and Riva would be part of that. So to see it at all through her eyes. I mean, you and I are having some fun in a hotel bar going, maybe she sees when Palpatine's like, good job, Vader. Maybe she sees all that. And I was like, I don't know, maybe she sees Source Van Diem get cut down. And, it's like, I don't want to see the gruesome side of it. And I'm not saying other people out there want that, but I think there is this, the hallway scene of Rogue One is cool, and it is cool. Yeah. But it has consequences, and it has theme side to it. So if we were to revisit Order 66, the temple, and Anakin in any way, shape, or form so that we can really see the effect of that.
Yeah, and it's him feeling trauma too. Yeah. And then Riva doesn't understand it probably, but then it echoes out to her. And I think for me, that's the last big theme of these two episodes and end of the show is that it really is a lot about mentors failing children, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's so significant that we begin with that scene. It's not just an Order 66 refresher scene because we know. We know. Order 66. It's starting specifically with children watching that group of children being peacefully taught in a temple, being defended by their mentor figure and watching her fall. That's where we start. And then everything else that's going on in this in these two episodes, Leia is a child who ends up in a situation of trauma. Yeah. And Obi-Wan is desperate not to fail her the way, in our interpretation, our guess, he failed Riva from Riva's point of view. He certainly failed Anakin. I think it was significant that in his great trauma dream, jumping back and forth, it ended on images of Anakin as a child. Yeah. Like what he's dreaming almost is, I met him as this sweet, innocent child, and somehow I let him get so far from that. Yeah. And it's almost like in his dream, he's thinking about different haircut eras. He's thinking about his brother Anakin. He's thinking about the Chosen One, the powerful Jedi Knight. But the dreams are ending on he was just a child, and I took him in.
When I took him,
I failed this child, and I don't want to fail Luke. And I don't even want to initially. I don't even want to try to help Leia because what if I fail her?
Yeah,
It's so
going back to the beginning
about this absolute the horror caused when a mentor fails a child, and then the trauma of the mentor of should I ever try to help again because what if I fail? What if I make it worse?
Go to an island if you want that. Go hide out with the caretakers. Yeah,
that's the Octo brochure.
Yeah, love all that. We can get to the Qui-Gon of it too, but a lot of stuff in there about I don't know, just some shortcuts. You can't get it. You got to work on what you need to work on.
Yeah, I'm really thrilled by that. We have been having conversations. I had come to the thought and the hope that this wasn't going to be like, I'm successfully communing with Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon's like, hey, Obi-Wan. Like, we talked about that, and like that would be a way to approach the story. But since this is a journey of Kenobi finding peace and purpose and a new version of being a Jedi for himself, it so makes sense to me that he can't reach Qui-Gon yet. Or Qui-Gon's not answering because he's like, this, you are not in the place. Like, you, maybe he's communed with Qui-Gon before. I kind of like the idea of like, I'm in such misery and torment, and I'm not letting things go, and I can't commune and begin to learn this process.
Yeah.
Learn your teachings until I am in the place to do it. So I love that he called out to him, like really trying to reach him in the cave, and then does and then, as you pointed out last night at the bar, Ontario was just like, come on. You got anything for me?
Yeah. And actually, that would end up being the more powerful one for me in the sense, like the first one's, if he was going to pop up early, that would be the moment, right? Like, here he's in the cave. But the fact that he's just like out and about, and it's a cheat a little bit, almost like how some people might view the Force. It's a trick and everything that, and not saying Kenobi would think that, but just like he needs the help. And we always talk about Force ghosts, particularly Kenobi shows up when Luke needs the help.
Yeah, really a critical moment.
Time of need. And I think if Qui-Gon's not answering, and this is just now speculating, if Qui-Gon's not answering, not picking up, but he's watching, it's because this is not the right way to do it. You can do this. You can do this, Kenobi. You don't need me. You don't need the extra info. You just got to, like Yoda would say in Revenge of the Sith, or even Attack the Clones to Kenobi, like, Revenge of the Sith. You want to find where Anakin is? You know where to look.
Follow your instincts.
Follow your instincts. And I think there's a little bit of that second one particularly of just like, bleep, I need some help.
Yeah, this is feeling to me like
I don't want to do the work.
Exactly. I feel like this is sort of Force spirit, tough love, which I'm reticent about that phrase because it can be used in not great ways. But I think it is the like mentors are there for you when you need them, and I think sometimes there's this instinct like you're talking about to take the shortcut of like, please, a paternal figure, a parental figure, please come help me. And Qui-Gon's just keeping the door shut. Like, you have everything you need. You don't need me now, dude.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
It's fair. It's fair. It's something I deal with sometimes too. Of like, do I want to sign up for that class? Let me get a friend to do it with me. When I do it on your own. You get do it on your own. I'm breaking it down simply, of course. But yeah, that's why that second one, him on the go, not in a cave, not trying to find it, but just like I'm out and about. I've accepted the mission. And so again, it's like Qui-Gon saying, do the work, gonna get there, and no shortcuts. That's fear. That's fear. And that second episode particularly is a ton of hidden fear stuff to me.
Absolutely. And
everyone hiding something.
Yeah. I mean, like the image of Kenobi almost being in physical pain to open
the Force
up
thing.
The Force. Like that to me, that was about hiding, right?
Yeah.
It was about like, I have shut myself off so much, and if I open, all these other things are going to flood in.
It hurts. It physically hurts them, mentally hurts them. Yeah, no, you're right. I think there's a little bit of we always make the joke if you can't just press the X button or whatever, but beyond that, just it starts from that for me. But like, that's a big moment that he's got to do it. He can't hide in that moment. Leia will die if he doesn't.
Yeah, he can't hide in that moment. And there is a lot of hiding, right?
Yeah, hurts him.
So good. Want to move on to some of the other like moments and stuff. We'll take a quick break. Do you have any other thoughts on the big picture themes and ideas of these first two episodes?
No, I think we really hit on them a lot, and again, so much of it coming from Leia, just in the real good bumper sticker kind of breaking it down of just some of the stuff. And I just really love the stuff she's saying to Kenobi. And also, again, I wanted to mention some of the stuff that Brea is saying to her. We get quality Brea time, but you get out of it what you put into it. Mm-hmm. So that could be about not just, titles. And again, going to Kenobi, calling on Qui-Gon. Almost Qui-Gon can say that. You're going to get out of this what you put into it. And just calling me right now is the cheat. But also you have to rise above Leia. And when Leia is met with... her cousin, she does, she strikes back, but she strikes back in her own way. But you need to rise above it. I think of Leia and Wicket and the snack that crushes the Empire and all those kind of things. All the things we know with Leia, just to see it here at the early stages and how there are many ways to lead. You just have to find yours. Good, simple philosophy and themes there.
Yeah, no, and I think it really tracks well. Leia and Padme are these figures who are noble and fight the fight. They use the blaster when they have to, but they try everything else first. And this was like this early lesson of like, okay, you kind of just want to retaliate in anger. You dressed him down and understandable and just, maybe you got to apologize to keep the peace for now. And she's just kind of like, no, bleep him. Right. And it is a moment of, pick your battles, pick the moments. You don't always have to be in the cycle of aggression.
Yeah, aggressive negotiations don't always have to happen.
So many aggressive negotiations. Another bit of Leia wisdom that I liked is the which I think relates to fear and hiding in Station when she says to Kenobi, "Is it that hard to believe you might have friends?"
Oh, I wrote that's one of my favorite lines because isn't that? I'm glad you mentioned that, and because it's a funny moment we could talk about in comedy and whimsy and everything. But man, isn't that a pretty powerful statement that he is so disconnected from who he is that he just can't even accept that he couldn't accept any help from anyone. That you're worth this, that your mission's worth it, that I'm worth this.
Yeah,
I thought that was a big line from Leia. There's so many lines from little Leia. I'm calling her a little combat poncho Leia when she puts on that green sweater.
The green cape.
Yeah, the green cape. Isn't it? That was a big line. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, is really, really powerful, really intriguing, and goes more to Obi-Wan really just cutting himself off from everything and how that can be, you can get into a place of comfort. Sad, tortured comfort.
Yeah.
But it's safe. I'm alone and miserable.
Yeah.
But I know what that is. I know what the routine is. And anything stepping outside of it is risk.
Yeah. And if you move so far away from yourself that you can't understand and comprehend your own worth, and I think we've all been there at times, and I think a little bit of what Leia was saying, it's just that hard to believe that you might have friends.
A great bit of Leia advice. So many great bits of advice. But for now, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about some of the exciting moments, the action moments, the comedy moments. We could talk about almost every line of these 2 episodes. We loved them so much, but we will try to contain ourselves just a bit. We will be containing ourselves in just a moment. And we are back to continue our discussion of the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. We are very excited to talk about some of the moments. We talked about some of the big ideas, but let's get into some of the action moments. I thought that these 2 episodes had a lot of actually like great action, but they also just had a lot of great building to even the possibility of action. So like some of the cheer-worthy moments for me were like a character taking a step toward taking action. There are also some just like cool combat moments as well. So I tried to keep my list a little bit more limited than we normally do. Because we're trying to get this one out in a reasonable amount of time. But where did you go? What were your action moments?
It's funny you mentioned it because I put a lot of the action of, obviously I think the saving Leia with the Force thing was this big one, thematic one too, and an important one. So we can talk about that more if we'd like. But there was a little bit of because there's this hesitation to use the blade. And again, we could even hide behind it as in a thematic way. Well, he can't use the blade because then he'll be outed as a Jedi. That's not the reason. That's not really the reason. That's Kenobi's hiding the fear. He pulls out that blade and ignites it. He's Obi-Wan Kenobi again, and he ain't Ben. And that's so I love. So there's a lot of almost actions like you're talking about. Digging up the blades was probably the biggest action to me in these first 2 episodes.
That was the first thing I wrote down. That was the thing. Like if I'd been seeing it, live with a bunch of people and felt comfortable to scream, like in the Endgame film, as it is becoming clear that the hammer starts to move and it's clear. That's Captain America. Steve Rogers is finally going to use Mjolnir, and I started pre-screaming because I felt safe in that showing.
Yeah.
When the second he got off the EOP and I saw the shovel in his hand, I would have been pre-screaming in the theater, right? For that moment. That is a Thor. That's a Captain America takes the hammer moment for me.
Yeah.
Because of the power of it, the literalness of I have buried.
Yeah.
In a place only I can sense in the sand.
Yeah.
Who I was, and from this new canon clarification that Obi-Wan believes he killed Anakin.
Yes.
And my dead friend's blade that maybe someday I'll give to his child. And I'm willing to unearth all of that. It was an action scene that was like a therapy session.
Yes.
I'm willing to unearth my trauma.
Yes, do the work. Qui-Gon's going to tell you that. No, absolutely. When you pull the shovel, and I want to admit something that's fun because we watched this with so much excitement, and it's already been a fun but long weekend. I had a brief 2-second thought where it's like, he's going to dig up his Jedi Starfighter with that shovel? Oh wait, that's right, lightsabers. Because he told the kid bury the lightsaber in the desert, but that would have been cool too. If you got a Jedi, he just buried it in the sand.
Yeah, he buries up the whole ship.
Yeah, but it ends up being obviously something so much more important. And I just want to just discuss that in terms of a little bit of canon, or just like what you envisioned. Kenobi in the desert all those years. I have that great Sideshow collectible figure, which is based off of more, not necessarily based off of the Kenobi book you just read from Jonathan Jackson Miller, but just an idea of Kenobi in the desert. He has his Clone War armor. He has all the blades, and he's just out and about in the desert. And maybe that was him when he landed 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I was blown away by the fact that he's protecting Luke, and he doesn't even have his blades.
Yeah.
He can't even go get them quick if something goes wrong. He's just got to watch from afar and hope Owen lets him come throw some fists with the bad guys. I was kind of blown away by that. Not surprised, great moment, but I was just like, I thought about that a lot last night of, he's just hitting on the rock? What's he going to throw meat at the bad guys? He's so disconnected from who he is, and he's hiding behind, I'm protecting him. You don't even have your blade, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's just watching over him and hoping that nothing happens. Yeah, maybe fill in canon. Maybe he went and got it sometime to take care of the threat or whatever. I think some of the canon stories we have in the comics are after this point in time. So anyway, get back to that. But I think for me, it's understandable that a lot of people had the perception that's what it's in that Kenobi book by John Jackson Miller. Yeah, 2013 Legends one. It's definitely Obi-Wan processing. He's in trauma and he has some moments of outburst, but it's him getting set up as we know it in A New Hope. Yes. Getting set up in that hut. He's, I'm going out and about and I'm really trying not to get involved, but I wear the right robes so nobody can see my saber, and I really don't want to take it out, but it's on me, and I'll use the Force to save people, but I'll try to do it in sneaky ways. And I think that's just like, that's a valid interpretation of the story, and that's what the story could have been, right? When George Lucas says, I did it, I told the story, I'm done. You can absolutely imagine Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith getting on his EOP and going and finding that hut and being that version of Obi-Wan. But I think what really happened here is this opportunity to go like, but there's even more story there. Yes. There's really deep, powerful story. We could have a Kenobi who is that strong that he sets up and he quietly deals with the trauma.
Yeah, just sits there.
But it is so much more interesting, and clearly from interviews, you and McGregor push for it to be like, go through the trauma, truly work through the trauma. Mm-hmm. And I think what's compelling to me about it is we talk about it a lot on the podcast. I love Jedi because they strive towards this noble path, and it's so easy to fall off of because it's such a lofty goal to master your fear in every way. And when you fail as badly as Obi-Wan did, with the amount of consequences he did. And I think he made some mistakes. I don't think he's solely responsible. Anakin made his choice, all that, blah, 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 blah. But it's just, it's a more powerful Jedi story for him to go, I have to work to become a new version of a Jedi. So I'm just going to hide everything that says Jedi because that's not what I am anymore. And I have to work my way back to it.
The more I think about it, even as you're talking, I'm just really excited about this. And I have to learn from Bray Organa, who wants all of us to rise above, because I really want to go to some of my friends who texted me 4 or 5 years ago and said, why would they tell a Kenobi story that's so creatively bankrupt? There's nothing there. So I want to go back and go, you're hiding your fear of having to have your headcanon rearranged.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I love that Kenobi book by John Jackson Miller.
No slate on that. I haven't read that, but
interesting. That's a valid take on the story, and that's maybe what Lucas thought. But I also think that those guardrails that Kathleen Kennedy was talking about are like the ideas, the core of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's not creative guardrails,
not structure, not creators, not anything, not mediums. And this is these are the guardrails of Star Wars. It's about fear and hope. And what do you do when you fail somebody? And generational, change. All of that's there. Yeah.
I was blown away thinking, again, staying up way late after we watched episodes of but just that he hasn't moved into that hut. And is that a symbol? You and I were even saying, is the end of this run, does he, all right, it's time for me to move in a hut. But just that he's so broken. After years of, watching him in the Clone Wars, after years of seeing him try not to break, and he I'd say at the end of Sith is where you see him break. Mm-hmm. And after years of literally taking punches to the face in the Clone Wars, and how many times we talked about in the Clone Wars Report, to actually see him, and it's easy to go like, we're going to see broken Kenobi, but to see how they're playing around with that. 10 years into this, he's still in a cave on a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Not allowing himself to connect to who he is. I think it's going to be much more powerful to see when he finally gets there, as he's already on the road there.
Yeah, and only Tika the Jawa to snark with.
only Tika.
Which we will get to in comedy. All right, so that was our first action moment, which we turned
into themes. I apologize.
Come on, he shoveled up his lightsabers. He shoveled up his trauma.
Yeah.
It was glorious. It was an action moment to me. Going into just some of the actual kind of practical action. This is also thematic. It was cool, but I thought it was just sort of pitch perfect of he is a well-trained fighter hand to hand, right?
Yeah.
But he's rusty, and it's also just so the Kenobi style of I don't need to do anything flashy. I just need to pressure points, get limbs in the right place,
get information.
Use the opponent's body weight against them. It's very Kenobi. It's not Anakin rush in and hit. It is pressure point.
Punching
I love
rush.
that detail, which it was too dark for us to see, and I didn't track, but I did when he does the I'm going to use your center of gravity against you on the Zabrak, and puts his hand on his head to flip him, but it impales his hand on the head horn.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, Obi-Wan, you fought some Zabraks.
Yeah.
And it really does just feel like, I forgot I can't use that move on Zabraks.
Yeah. It's great. I love it. I just love it. Made me think of even fighting Grievous, of just, he's always got to scream in pain in the fight because he's sometimes in over his head, but he doesn't stop. No, I loved a lot of the sequence. Really well done. Really, the choreography was really good on the little fights in the hallways and everything. And I always love that.
Yeah. So what are some other action moments for you?
I love. I watched it a few times. I love Little Leia. We'll put the apostrophe. Little Leia. I love the running away from Flea. and a great bass line, running away. She does that little slide,
that action slide.
So she's running. She, like you and I keep saying, she's not perfect. She's making mistakes. She's 10. She's learning.
Yeah.
She's precocious and all those other wonderful things and wise beyond her years, but she's still a little kid. But the purpose behind that slide of, she knows how to run. She's a self-rescuing princess, man. She'll get her, if she could, she'd get herself out of it. And so from that to watching her leap with bravery that almost kills her, quite almost kills her. And she does not connect to the Force yet. We knew some of the Leia Princess of Alderaan book stuff where the Force, oh my gosh, I did that. I made that jump. Well, here she didn't make the jump, but she took the jump.
She made that jump when she was needing to save someone. In that Leia book.
Yeah, so I love all those little moments. But I got to tell you, that little slide from little Leia One of my favorite little action sequences.
Absolutely, because it was just a great little action shot, right?
Yeah.
But it was also like, I am using my knowledge of the space. I'm using my size because she zips under that log that they can't follow her that way. And it's a great little moment. She gets caught. She's 10. And they're waiting for her, and they know where she's going.
Yeah.
But so I thought that was great. I thought another great Kenobi moment was I loved everything about him getting punched around and them talking about how he's bleeding.
Yes. Yeah.
Getting blood everywhere. And that everybody bleeds was a great. That's as much as a tough guy line you get from Obi-Wan Kenobi. But pulling out that spice. It tracks to the death sticks, to him being judgmental about all this, and I'm going to use the spice against them. And then it's practical when he knees Flea. Flea's character has a name, Vect Nokro, but it's more fun to say Flea.
Or as Grace texted me last night, Needles is in this. Needles is in this. Needles is in this.
But I just love that. He crashes the spice, clever Obi-Wan solution, and then knees Flea real hard on the way out. It was was that entirely practical, or was that a little it's been a long time since I got punched in the gut and I did not enjoy it. Was that a little bit of naughty vengeance?
Yeah, a little bit. A little sassy Kenobi.
A little sassy vengeance. Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to be sure to highlight is I really did love the intensity of Riva's force parkour run across Dayu.
It was great.
Lots of cool, using the space, doing awesome force user flips. But the whole thing was constructed with this no obstacle will keep me from Kenobi kind of energy, and just really gave lots of energy and momentum to Leia, not entirely understanding the amount and kind of danger that she was in, and highlighted how desperately Obi-Wan knows. Obviously it's when he catches her too, but just her action was cool, and it really highlighted the pressure point of Obi-Wan is going to literally fall into a million pieces if he fails Leia.
Yeah, I love the sequence for its beauty, its danger. It's overwhelming. Still, there's a couple moments where she's bouncing off the side, maybe a little force connect. Yeah, it's truly a fun video game sequence, but really some eloquence, evil eloquence to it.
Evil eloquence, yeah. And my last thing was to talk about Obi-Wan catching Leia. So what else you got?
That was kind of the big one for me. Great meaning to it. We'll probably even talk more themes, but just. The actual strain and pain, the force is not this magic button you press, and the hesitation. I mean, because he doesn't do it immediately. He's hoping it, and he knows he's got to. So he does it. He takes action because he's Obi-Wan, and we know Leia's going to get safe. But the close-up on his face, the strain, the physical strain of his hand, how much it took out of him. I love that.
Yeah, and almost like
the risk, the reward, all that, but the pain.
Almost this fear that he was going to start flashing red, right? That alarms would go off, everybody would see and know. He's really internalized. It's a caution. I really can't show myself. I can't be, I can't reveal myself. It's dangerous for me, but more importantly, it's dangerous.
Stay in your lane, Kenobi. He's telling himself.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that they had the conversation, Leia. Why don't you use your lightsaber in the Force? And well, because I will.
Lift me up.
Oh yeah, I heard you can float things. Float me. What? They were great little comedy acts. We'll get to in a minute, but yeah, it was a great action moment because it was both expected, and different than I expected, because that pain was almost flinching. It was what's going to happen when I let it all in, and. Yeah. If I call on the Force and it doesn't answer, and it's almost like he's that is all of those fears are causing physical pain, and he is straining and pushing through them. And then the contrast to that of what Leia experiences. Yeah. Going back to what we were talking about of Leia pushing back, I think you're a faker. I think you're a liar. I don't think you're a real Jedi. I think you're cosplaying. Yeah. Yeah. And then for her to literally feel. No, he's a real Jedi, and it's not just the powers. It is because he has the heart of a Jedi. He helps people. And the contrast of the strain of Obi-Wan to the gentle catch. Yeah. After all this violence, this chase, this fear, that catch is so gentle, and the people in the background going oh, she's okay. Yeah. there's just this like kindness to the action.
It was there was the big why behind it. Mm-hmm. We love our whys, and the why of Kenobi reconnecting the Force, the why of Kenobi using it, and the everything behind it, like you've just wonderfully described. Beyond just I can't do it because I'll be discovered. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to,
but I need to. I need to open up.
Yeah,
because the worst thing that could ever happen is failing.
Yeah, failing. And to me, this is Bail going, oh, I know you're going to have to be the man you were.
Yep.
And this is that moment. You have to. You have no choice.
Yeah.
The only choice is
death.
Off.
Yeah.
Because Leia dies if you don't.
Yeah. Powerful. Let's move on then to comedy, whimsy, weirdness. Boy, we could just go on and on. There's a ton of great stuff here. So what do you got?
How old are you? You might have more specific lines written down than me, but let me just start by saying Vivian Lyra Blair. Lyra, that's great. We got a Star Wars name in that. Is amazing.
Yeah,
I know she was in Bird Box, looking that up there, but just what a wonderful find. And it's not just the look and the feel; it's the tone, the cadence, the posture. Mm-hmm. It's wonderful, and her comedic timing amazing. And made me laugh so many times. So I know you have more specific lines written down to me, but everything about the energy. It was Leia. Can you get this walking carpet out of my way? It's Leia, man. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Defiance, snark, that ability to be sort of trained and regal with that, then like just, I am going to sass you into an early grave because I know I have that power.
I expected to.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the great lines followed by one of the greatest laugh lines of Leia saying to Kenobi, you think the less you say the less you give away, but really it's the opposite. Just that great natural insight, intuition. Like Leia's force powers are always shown as very intuitive, right? And to be in like, is she even tapping a little bit into the force with her like really young understanding of Kenobi? And I don't mean like she's reaching into the force on purpose of just that real like subconscious. It's in one of the books. I can't even remember which one. Maybe Resistance Reborn. I honestly can't remember. Maybe it's the novelization of Rise of Skywalker. But kind of a passage about how after she spent some time with Luke, and Luke's like, I think you've been tapping into the force in subtle ways your whole life. Your instinct to your ability to read people and to connect is because you're reaching out and you're seeing them and you're feeling them.
And we're seeing some of the stuff play out in the High Republic, and it's certainly not, it's easy to just list different type of force powers and skills. That's not what we're doing here. But I think you're right. There's this empath energy to it.
Yeah.
Even at the end, I was moved to watch this here at the beginning. I mean, we've got Revenge of the Sith, the true beginning of her life there, right? But then here and go to Rise of Skywalker, go to Last Jedi. You have everything you need. You have this and that. The sage, the one able to give the advice. It starts early because of her instincts. And I think you're right. I think there's a little bit of that's part of what she does in the Force.
Yeah, and there's a great connection to that Kenobi novel from John Jackson Miller, because Kenobi is really written well to be evading questions, constantly turning the conversation back to other people. And this one person he's connecting with in particular who really wants to know him, it only makes it worse. He's like, you work so hard not to say things. So that was, I think, a real great truth of Obi-Wan in this era. And then the, how old are you? Which is, I mean, it's a joke. He unless he's really lost track of time, he's not writing down days on the tape. So maybe he is like, you 9 or 11. And then the follow-up of the 10 is like, you don't talk like a 10-year-old. It's like, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, that's somebody who's training to be an adult as soon as possible, right? There's a ton of great things. I love the interaction with Tika, because
it's the best.
It's Tika the Jawa. It's like it tortured, broken, but still snarky Obi-Wan. One of the great Obi-Wan lines, like, when you steal my property and try to sell it back to me, could you at least clean it? As a courtesy. But it's the as a courtesy tag that just killed me.
But Tika responds with, cleaning costs extra. It's so funny. It's a great little sketch. Well, even he walks out like, you smell like meat. Like, he's just like, I can smell you, from Alderaan. I love that scene.
Oh yeah, it is an absolutely great scene. Every moment of it. And then I think almost I wrote one other line down from the first episode. Leia had so many great lines, but when they were chiding her for being for taking it to a lousy cousin,
Yeah.
and she says he's rude to droids.
Oh man.
It's great. I mean, we always know that Leia's had a little bit more,
Yes.
respect. We'll talk about canon. We got to see 3PO in the background. That was great. It ties into the big theme that we were talking about of status.
Status.
And droids are less than. So it's a meaningful line, but also like there's just something funny about it. Of like, this is a bridge too far for Leia Organa. Like, this piece of bleep is rude to droids.
Yeah, no, and her little relationship with Lola, the battery's not included droid, isn't called. No, yeah, I guess you and I got to be careful not to spin off anymore, but that line too, the through line, the lesser life form spits out her cousin, and it does go to back to the Wicket moment, which I love so much. It goes to Padme looking at Jar Jar. And remember, Padme meets Jar Jar and is like, "You're a Gungan, aren't you? Like, I'm ruler of this planet and haven't spent time with the people that we think we're above." And so that through line of Leia carrying that in her. Obviously, Brea and Bale have done great jobs as parents. But I love that. I love the connections that we're getting Leia in this time period going both directions.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the second episode, like I had to stop myself from writing down basically all the banter between Ben and Leia, but a couple that I really liked. Yeah. I liked that Obi-Wan was maybe never the greatest at just chatting with kids, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He liked it better when Anakin was a Jedi Knight and they were brothers,
Yeah.
Maybe never the best at that, but now super rusty.
Yeah.
And I love when he says to her, "Don't smell anything."
Yeah.
Don't touch anything, but don't smell anything. It's it's so like just it's that really comic frustration of an escort mission on a video game when like you're supposed to protect that character and they're an AI and they're running everywhere they shouldn't. Just sit still behind me.
Yeah.
But within my line of sight, I loved it. But this particular line, "Don't smell anything."
I wrote. It's funny you say that. I mentioned it's a little bit of I'm going to submit it as whimsy. It's not comedy, but I love Leia saying this place is incredible.
Yes,
and what that says about her, what that says of her view of the galaxy, again, like we're talking about here. I love that it wasn't like she wasn't scared, she wasn't overwhelmed. This is incredible. Yeah. I love this. I've been kept on my planet for good reasons. Maybe she doesn't fully understand. Beautiful planet, beautiful time. But a beautiful place. But just, man, look around this. This is great.
And you have to think, like, unlike Luke, who's maybe like hearing weird stories from young Biggs about the galaxy, she's being trained.
Yes.
To go to university. And like, so there's almost this, like, unlike Rey or Luke, or maybe even a little bit of Han's, like, awe.
Yeah.
I feel like with Leia, it's like all the things I've been reading about and I know from a book or a holo. Here they are in real life, and you can smell them and see them and touch them, and it's all real.
It's the difference between what we got with the Organas raising her so well as their own daughter. I mean, adopted daughter, where you got Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. The situation is a little different, I know. And I love my justice for Owen, but how he's so much out of fear. Like, he's breaking, you're not going to have a spaceship toy, because that's going to teach you to fly away. And this, we've always analyzed, Tatooine is outer rim. It is a planet from the farthest from, but that's not necessarily true. There's a lot of things going on. That's why we revisit Tatooine a lot. That's why even Biggs has kind of got that, like, kid, Wormy, you ain't even been around. Get out of town. And so I love the juxtaposition of how these two kids are being raised and protected.
Yeah,
both needing to be protected, but the way you do it could potentially cause harm, and Leia's much more prepared because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why she ends up coming to Tatooine.
Yeah,
for Luke. The final one, because again, I could share all of them, but I really like when he needs them to get the new clothes and having that grumpy old man exchange. He's like,
"You don't need those."
First he's like, "I'll take the little green cape." Clearly, probably not the correct words for that garment. It's the little green cape, and then she's just putting on the gloves. It's a great Padme connection. Not that Leia has her finery too.
Yep,
but that's such a thing of Padme and of the way that both of them are raised. Picking up the just Ewan McGregor's excellent delivery of, "You don't need those." She puts them on anyway, and the gloves. That just that real fast, like, battlefield. I'm going to pick my battles. She's not going to listen to me most of the time.
Right.
This is not the hill to die on. I'll take
the gloves. And again, I know it's not a combat poncho, but the image of the greed, I would love if she had corrected me. Like, it's a combat poncho.
It is. Yeah. It is absolutely in the canon of great ponchos. Yeah. Anything else for whimsy and weirdness before we move on?
The one thing I'll submit, it's also a little in canon, but I love, maybe fudging the margins of what whimsy is, but love the Bail and Leia kind of comfort scene. But when he's like, I used to want to live up there and chase Purgle and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Such a sweet moment between them and how that... it just plays. It makes me even think of Rogue One. I would trust her with my life. It just adds a lot of power to the relationship. And I can't wait. I hope we spend some more time with Brea, but it's even been great to see their connection too. So
yeah,
wow, a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, and we'll see how much more time we spend. Yeah, so we'll move on to canon because we are at a convention, we're at a hotel. Didn't do the deep dive scrub for every little thing.
Alex is stressing in his hotel room right now, trying to do
Alex
that.
of Star Wars Explained, yes, is I'm sure explaining away as we speak. I also think the other thing I wanted to mention is there's this different credit. That you noted in the credits.
Oh, yeah.
I believe Star Wars lore advisor,
yeah.
Pablo Hidalgo.
Yeah.
But, obviously the whole story group, we know, kind of will weigh in on things and help out with that. Authors are always thanking the story group or specific members as specific members focus on a specific creative thing. That was different for a television show to be like, all of these sort of fill in the blanks of I would rather be devoured by a blank.
Yeah.
We'll pretend we're from this planet. It feels like hey, Pablo, these things aren't meaningful. Yeah. They're mentions. Go to town with interesting Easter eggs that fill out the galaxy or are really fun for fans. So I thought it was particularly deep with like Jacko Beast and this planet. And so far from what I can Google, like I said, don't want to spend the time going through every little one because Alex Damon and many other people will do a better job than me on that. But a lot of them were like super cut deep dives with like 2 sentences on Wikipedia. Like they exist.
They exist.
Deep cuts,
Love that.
It was great to hear the Purgle. I was intrigued by there's a lot of reuse of aliens in the background.
Yeah.
Which is great. I loved seeing what I believe is an Aki in Kenobi's crew, right?
Yep, totally.
Because another desert dweller might end up in a desert. Mm-hmm. At first, I was just like, I know that alien. I love that alien.
Yeah.
Well, why am I having this strong emotional response?
Yeah. I started dancing and celebrating life.
Yeah. And you can look at some of these aliens and go, did they use the same... costume? Are they going to fill it out to be the same character? Or is it just another of the species? But we also saw Karj, the card eater from Solo.
Right.
Is in the background. Muncie Tidian, who is the resident who is screaming on Kijimi during the First Order occupation with all the eyes, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of things that looked familiar in a lot of mentions. So from there, we're just going to go to some of the big ones.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the model, the toy that Obi-Wan saves up to buy.
Yeah.
There's that bit in Kevin Scott's short story Time of Death that had kind of established that Obi-Wan sculpted toys out of wood and left them. Maybe he did both, whatever.
Yeah.
But I really like this version. Did you take that to be that somehow Luke is going that is the model that Luke is playing with in A New Hope, and somehow he will end up with it?
Yeah. Even though Owen broke it?
Yeah.
Owen. Yeah. No, I absolutely did take it as that. I mean, certainly you can get another if it is truly broken or lost. But even if we never see it again, I assume that is, and it was wonderful to see, again what it represents. It does represent to Owen. Don't teach him to fly away from here.
Yeah,
absolutely does. But
totally makes sense from Owen's perspective of fear of like, you're not going to get him dreaming about the stars. He's already like that enough.
Yeah.
But from Obi-Wan's perspective of like, I can't interact with him. Yeah. My entire mission is him.
Right.
And how conflicted is Obi-Wan between, I need to train him. I need, like Owen accuses him of, you're just waiting to see if he presents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how much of that is Obi-Wan like, I maybe didn't do the greatest job connecting with Anakin as a child.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to give him something that, yes, will make him know that there's a larger galaxy, make him dream, but also like, I can't connect with him. Can I give him a little bit of joy? Can I give him a toy to try to connect with him?
Yeah. I think it's that. And I don't want to imply that like Obi-Wan's like trying to teach him to fly the coop there or anything like that. But I think you're right. And just the care and concern and a little message from far away, you know, give the kid joy. Because I love too when they're having that conversation, which we had already seen in some of the trailers, and they released that scene. But it's a great little scene. It's a great scene. And look, Owen's strong. Owen is courageous.
Stands up to Riva.
Stands up, but he chooses maybe a little bit more to protect out of fear. Again, righteous decisions. He understands. He and Brew understand it. But I don't know. I love in that scene where he confronts Kenobi. And what does Kenobi do? Is he okay?
Is he okay?
Is he okay?
Yeah.
Why are you coming to me? Is he okay? Does he hurt? Does he fall? And even needing to that great scene to see it, you know, Luke disappears and Owen's Luke, and to see him emerge pretend to be Starfighter, that's cute and great. But that Kenobi like kind of has a sigh of relief. Like, oh, okay, there he is. He's all right. It's good.
He's just pretending he's pod racing, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe starfighting, maybe pod racing.
But anyways, let's love it. All that to say, in terms of canon connection, I think that's a T-16 Sky Up, or at least in my heart until I'm told otherwise.
Yeah. There's veering off, but I also love that Owen scene where he's like, I got no love for the Jedi. They're vermin, and on my farm, I'm gonna kill vermin. Like, great lines, and also again. These images of what is less than, what is vermin, what is gutter. That great stuff. That made me think that it made me dream of a scene where Luke is Obi-Wan's gonna go through his journey. Mm-hmm. He's gonna find some level of acceptance, and I wonder if like a part of him like moving farther away, is him saying like, "All right, Owen, I'm gonna respect your wish. I'm gonna back off," but as a symbol of the fact that you can't keep him everywhere. You're going to take this toy, or I'm going to come here every night and I'm going to leave it. Yeah. Because this is my compromise. I will back off for now and I will wait until the time is right. But the time will come and there's nothing that either of us can do about it. The time will come. Time will come. And this toy is a symbol of that. Yeah, really, David, I'd love to go back and have like the initial we even talked about previously on Force Center of after the drop off the baby. What do Uncle Owen and Emperor know? We got that question recently in Force Center. But I love Kenobi invoking like, this was the deal, man. This is why I'm here. Eventually he has to be trained. Yeah.
And Owen kind of backing out of the deal to me, from my point of view, of like, no. You ain't taking away from here. Yeah. Like all the Anakin, like your father stuff, but like.
You're just, now we have the modern canon confirmation of like, Anakin's dead.
Yeah. Anakin's,
Yeah. That's what your mentorship gives is not fun for poor Obi-Wan. Yeah. The other thing, so I wanted to talk about that brief shot of 3PO on Alderaan. Yeah. And then the droid that is being more actively interacted with is YO, a different protocol droid. But we do have 3PO in the background. I watched with the subtitles this morning. And it says 3PO speaking, or 3PO translating alien language, I think. And it's like, good for you, 3PO. That's what you want to be doing.
He's in his wheelhouse here.
Yeah, to just see him as kind of a part of the, House of Organa. Yeah. At a party, at a function. I love that Clone Wars episode where you need to get the Jogan fruit because that's his happy place. Yeah. That's what he's actually designed for. Yeah. That's his personality. That's his desires. So to just not linger on it, not have, necessarily a cute moment between him and Leia. Yeah. But just he's there in the background doing his 3PO thing. That was kind of perfect for me.
Yeah, and look, if we end up getting a little bit more here and Anthony Daniels gets another royalty check from Star Wars, I ain't got no problem with that. But I love the use of that there. It's just there. It's part of it.
Yeah. It just is. One of the big ones, thrilling, is the clone on Dayu.
Oh, man. Didn't you and I... Yeah, we really had fun reacting to that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we both had the, we don't want to have running commentary. We don't want to pause. We don't want to talk over things. So we made a lot of noises of reverence, oohs and ahs and ums and and both on that voice in that turn. So I loved it on multiple levels, right? Yes. That just, hey, seeing Tamora Morrison as a clone. Right? Yeah. Credits saying just he's a clone, right? Yeah. Seeing a clone's place in the galaxy 10 years on, that this sort of a sad and upsetting fate that we know happens to veterans in real life, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you're needed by the powers that be, it's all
we got you covered. Come on in.
You're the most important ever, and then you come home and the powers that be don't need you anymore.
Yeah. And adapting back to society and how people treat you, all those kind of things. I thought it was particularly, important. A little help a veteran get a warm meal tonight, and then you got the stormtroopers nearby marching, and he's just not a part of that. It's just it drove it home.
Yeah, and I think for me also, like knowing how much trauma Obi-Wan has gone through, right?
Yeah,
that was a moment of kindness.
Totally.
He could easily have just like sighed and walked on, right?
Yeah.
And we know how hard he's working for credits, and he's going to need some more for Leia's gloves.
Yeah.
But it's just this moment of sadness of like they were used to.
Yeah.
And this is, and that's another moment of station, right? Like they used to be the grand army of the Republic, and what did Palpatine do to this poor sentient being too?
Yeah. It worked. Yeah.
That was another moment of kindness I wanted to mention. It wasn't really canon, but along with the Luke's toy thing, I want to be sure to mention, I loved that moment in the alley with Leia when he's focused on mission and she's telling him about the droid and that it's broken. He's like, good. Yeah. And then you see that moment where he's like, no, slow down and be kind.
Yeah.
And he bends down and asks her about the droid. And we know he's not a super big fan of droids, doesn't have a ton of respect for them, but has to stop and go like, but she does. And I have to talk to her as a child, which also just seems like Anakin correction.
I agree with that.
Okay, so any other thoughts on the clone? Do you expect it to be just a fun moment?
Look, I'll say this. In the credits, it's not listed as anything specific. It's not Rex. It's not anything like that. Nothing like that. But it's possible. I know there's maybe a lingering shot from a trailer or something make you think there's some clone armor out there. I'll say that. But I know that's been in discussions. I don't know. This might be it. I would love to see it. I had a little bit of moment of not even thinking that it was Rex or something, but that like. Suddenly the clone was going to reappear at the end of the episode to help and be like, I got you, General Kenobi.
Yeah.
Which would have been interesting, but I think this works out better for me. But I wouldn't be surprised if we revisit that in some way. But if we're off to IU or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm more than happy to just see how that one plays out. Final thing is, there's always been a lot of questions and I think kind of probably different takes from books and comics and whatnot. But the very clear confirmation that Obi-Wan for 10 years thought he killed Anakin. Yeah. Didn't wrestle with, did I finish him off all the way? Mm-hmm. It really makes it clear that when he walked away on Mustafar, he's like, I can't bring myself to just chop his head off, but how could he survive?
Yeah.
And I'm walking away. I got to get back to Padme. I still think there's some interest in the fact that he didn't fully finish it. Yep. We lived for 10 years with the thought that he did, and it's a revelation that Anakin is alive.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
So I hearing that this, and we even got some of the stuff from Deborah Chow and some interviews before that the revelation was going to happen in this episode. I think I wrestled with a little bit. Excuse me. Only because for so long I love the theme we've kind of discussed of, hey, on Mustafar, he fails to save Anakin and he fails to kill Darth Vader, right? Mm-hmm. But I think he's still wrestling with that, whether or not he knew that or not. It's still the same thing. And now that feeling that I've had as a fan that, oh no, Obi-Wan failed on two fronts, that just jumped back in his head now. So the result and the themes and everything we're going to learn from that information is still going to be there for us to enjoy as fans. So even going into these episodes, I was like, okay, that is different than what I had in my head. I thought he left those shores not knowing, then starts hearing maybe holovids or something like
rumors,
that.
Yeah.
So now we don't, maybe he didn't because he is so far. It doesn't look like he's watching a lot of TV in that cave. But he can hear stuff in the village and everything.
He doesn't have cable.
Yeah, he doesn't have, he's like me in a hotel room. Is my Wi-Fi working? So whenever I wrestle with canon stuff like that, it's going to challenge you from time to time based on just, again, what you're holding on to.
Yeah, what did you live with and for how many years did you live with your assumption or inference, right? It's kind of, it's not directly stated, but it's what a lot of fans would kind of guess at. right?
Yep.
And then how long did you live with that, and are you willing to have it challenged?
So even with my friends going, there's nothing left in a Kenobi story. Why are they doing this? You know, what you probably had your own version in your life, in your head for a long time. So it going in before we even watched these episodes, it challenged me a little bit. But to see it, all that challenge and all that fear, to hold on to that would not be worth the trade-off. For the trade-off would be losing this moment, losing this scene, and having Riva say it, not say Darth Vader. And you and I were talking, we can talk here about how much does Lord Vader seems to be the phrase she uses. Again, could just be Darth Vader, and she's using his proper respectful title. But anyways, I love you, and it's like, it's his face, man, goes through so much.
Just
so much.
Give him the Emmy now.
Yeah. And his fear. And this episode is about a lot about hidden fears and secrets on this planet. No one wants to know the truth. Got the great scene with his daughter, by the way. That's Ewan McGregor's daughter selling him drugs up top. Esther Rose McGregor.
And this is that quote that went around a while back when he said he was on an interview show. I can't remember what. And said, just today I shot a scene with somebody really important, and everybody's like, who is it? Who is it? And a lot of people guess like probably his daughter. And so it makes her line of everyone's someone's daughter at some point here. Great. But it's a great scene. And I'm glad she wasn't like, my dad was Elon Sleaze-Bagano. Like, I'm glad that didn't happen. Anyways, I'm getting off, maybe off track there, but I just love that. I love his hidden fear is the failure of Anakin. No matter what he knows, no matter if it was like, I didn't kill Darth Vader, I didn't save Anakin. You and I talk about that. But the fact that it's Anakin, and he's hiding that fear, and it's hiding it based on what you're talking about of, I don't want to do that again with Luke. I don't want to do it again with Leia. And Owen's holding that over him. He's confronted with it by Leia. So to have that moment where the fear is exposed, and then a little bit having to accept that fear's right there, and I'm going to have to deal with it. And then connecting, and you and I can talk about what we feel. We think there's a little bit of not force connection, like they're going to have a force Skype call, like Ray and Kylo, but just that there's a feeling that both are now aware of each other. Yeah. I think my headcanon, and even I've mentioned this a couple times, that James Arnold Taylor, actor of Clone Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi, was interested in trying to do a stage show of, Obi-Wan Kenobi talking about his life. So I worked on that script, and I had a lot of fun in that. And there's nothing to be done with it right now, and that's all fine.
So we can't start a hashtag campaign? Okay, cool.
No. But I bring it up to just to illustrate that I am one of those fans who actively had headcanon and wrote it down. Because we didn't know exactly what the canon was. And to me, I was kind of interested in this idea of, if he's trying to commune with Qui-Gon, if he's really reaching to the Force, that he's going to feel this presence out there that's like, that's familiar but not right.
Yeah.
And then he's going to be having to go into town, and he's going to start hearing about this Vader guy.
Yeah.
And like reach out and really feel like, is it true? And so that was like an interesting exploration for me. But I so prefer this active in the moment discovery.
Yeah.
And I think it changes the fear versus hope balance in Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
If he's lived for 10 years thinking I killed him, even the prequel a recap at the top frames it this way of, I can't kill him.
Yeah.
He comes to Mustafar. He sees that he's not getting through to him, and he feels he has to do his duty.
Yeah.
And he warns Anakin, don't try it. And he does. And he bursts into flames, and he walks away not thinking, did I go far enough? Did I stop Vader? There's no did I stop Vader.
Yeah.
It's just what he's living with from that 10 years, I think now is, could I have slowed down? Was Master Yoda wrong? Could I have done more to try to save him? Not only did he fall to the dark side, I personally killed this boy that was my charge, who grew up to be my friend, who was the hope of the galaxy. And I wiped it out without even trying to help him. I think it's all about 10 years of, I killed my best friend. And there's the duty part of it and all that.
Yeah.
But that seems to be what he is truly in pain from.
Yes.
And when he finds out and he goes through that flood of emotions of fear and shock and all that, he gets on that ship with Leia. And it's not about protection. It's not about should I stop him? It's almost hope. It's if Anakin is still alive, I have a second chance. It's when he like that's
he says Anakin,
that's dangerous. Like he's been disconnected from the Force, right? I think that moment at the end is so impulsive and dangerous. He's right there with Leia, right?
Yeah.
He's being chased by Inquisitors.
Yeah.
None of that revelation is about, oh no, Vader's going to get me like Riva's yelling. Riva's pitching fear.
Yeah.
Vader's going to get you. He's going to ruin your mission. That's not the way Obi-Wan is reacting. It's reaching out and saying, Anakin, it's hope that my best friend is still alive. So maybe I have a chance to do what I should have done the first time, try harder to get through to him.
It's almost like Obi-Wan once thought as you did.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And that is such a great button on that conversation. I think we will leave that there, unless you have more to say about it. Well, actually, no. Let's just talk about this. Did you feel? I felt like he was reaching out into the Force, not to have that level of like of Force Skype, with that dyad connection between Kylo and Rey, but it was now that I'm open to the Force and I know he's out there, I can search for him. And it isn't I know exactly where you are, but just like in the grand cosmos of the Force, is that light still there? Like the way they envision it in the High Republic. In particular, the way that one of the lead characters sees it as a constellation. Sees the Force as a constellation and can search for the one shining star.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what Obi-Wan is looking into the cosmos of the Force and is seeing is that star still there?
Right.
And that awakens something in Vader.
I love it. I think there's a great fear of failure of what he could do for Leia and Luke. But to roll that into, it's not a distraction, but this is what the series could be about. This idea, again, Obi-Wan once thought of you did, and he's got to accept that at the end of this, right? That's not the path. The chapter turning you and I have talked about for almost years now.
Yeah.
Of I must turn, the chosen one was Anakin, and the chosen one in my mind is now Luke. How we're going to get to that? Because even the conversation with Owen, going back to the conversation with Owen, is almost just this look, that's the deal. Owen's probably not wrong. I think Obi-Wan has care for Luke, clearly. But Owen's not wrong when he's like, look, you just if you want to make sure he's not showing, so you can pick up the duty. And I'm bowing out of that deal. Yeah. And so it's almost like this, just like it's on paper, it's the deal, it's what I'm here for, this and that. And for him to still be not fixated, but to now have the second opportunity to go correct my mistake.
Yep.
My mistake. And can I right the galaxy by correcting my mistake instead of what Bail is saying? Move on. Move on. And so now we got the crux of this, which is not far from what we've been hoping for the series. But it's just, and you say it's not in his head. It's not a conversation at a bar. It is active.
Yeah, it's
in that moment's active.
In the moment, and it is designed by Riva to cause pain and fear.
Yes, and from her, it's this.
It's an attack.
He's gonna get you. Which, Vader's gonna kill you. Yeah.
By the way, that's the other thing I wanted to be sure to mention, that her sing-song, Obi-Wan. Great. Yeah. If we still had ringtones on our phones, that'd be my phone ringtone.
My mom still has one. Yeah. She'll play her phone ringtone in a crowded restaurant.
Yeah. It's just it's a real different story too if he feels I killed Vader, but Palpatine's still alive, and it didn't make a big difference in the galaxy. The galaxy still plunged into chaos. But yeah, I think the turning the page thing is the big thing. If he's lived with these years of doubt of I could have gotten through to him, and that's why I can't move on because I'm only focused on my failure. And I think he had failures, but ultimately it's Anakin's choice. He failed in many ways, but he gave many gifts to Anakin. Yeah. And I think if he confronts Anakin Vader, maybe gets close to getting through to Anakin, but ultimately Anakin is not brave enough, strong enough, and right in front of Kenobi chooses the dark side again. I think it will get to that place where Obi-Wan can say, like, I will hold myself responsible for my flaws, which were a part of this, but you chose this. Yeah. You have allowed Vader to kill Anakin. I see that. I accept that. It is time to move to the future.
Yes. I have failed you, Anakin. I have found you. The previously on, we always talk about that. Those are very specific choices. Whether you're watching Game of Thrones, any other show, Breaking Bad, I don't care. If there's a previously on, they're pulling out what you need to focus on.
Yeah.
And for that to be, it's not just a cool prequel moment. It's what he feels.
It's what he feels. Absolutely. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you wanted to?
I'm rolling. Oh yeah, I'll just say this. You and I both we both in a hotel room at night went, because when the camera pushed in on Alderaan and we knew what that probably meant, rumors and, hell, I even had someone it was an extra who straight told me about, they got a little girl in the cast. I want to go find that person and dump them in a trash can. To spend time on Alderaan, and we spent it on books. Claudia Gray spent a lot of time there. The great Madeleine Roux story, Eclipse, spends a painful amount of time there from a certain point of view novel. But to see it looks like Revenge of the Sith. It's prequel validation, baby.
It is. It's beautiful. It's prosperous.
Yes.
It is. This series, of course, it's set in the time in between the original trilogy and the classic trilogy. Like I was talking to somebody else, like it's amazing to just. This is a celebration of the prequels. This is a new style of storytelling, a 6-part television series. It's new, but it's also like the oldest of the old to watch Obi-Wan Kenobi watch over Luke, try to save Leia, to be the one who walks into the door of the prison cell saving Leia is also like to the deepest, most foundational original Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's incredibly powerful. Last thing I wanted to mention was just like a fun thing, a consistency thing. Obviously all this depth, but it's just so much fun to spend time with Obi-Wan and to have those Obi-Wan moments. And one just like, that's Obi-Wan. I loved when he got the information and he got to the spice making den. Yeah. And he's considering how to handle it. And he's there in the hood and he's doing the classic chin rub thinking like, how should I approach this one? And he's not in a position to do, what he did with Grievous on Utapau and jump in and make noise and be a distraction. No, I gotta sneak. Yeah. Here's how I'll sneak. Here's how I'll do a distraction. It was just a great classic Kenobi moment. Yeah. Rub the chin and decide how you want to approach this.
P.I. Kenobi, Gumshoe Kenobi, it kind of emerged a little bit here in this episode.
That was the only thing that I indulged myself to say out loud while we were watching last night. Detective Kenobi is back. Kenobi. So great. We talked about some predictions and hopes for upcoming episodes and in the show in its entirety. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about in terms of predictions or hopes for what's next?
Hopes. I really, we know we've got this character of Riva, Moses Ingram, already doing so good. Or as Grace texted me last night, I love this goth girl. Grace roots for the Sith sometime. We'll work on it. No, but it's a great character because we start with layers. And it's easy to say, look, even Kenobi's like, his Inquisitors, they're hunting their own. Yeah. And we've seen some good, Fallen Order has some great stuff, and how you deal with trauma. From a distance, you might think it's a lather, rinse, repeat. Another person in all black with red is going to go through this and this and that. I don't ever want them not to do that, unless it's Palpatine. I don't need every person in all black with red blades to save themselves and get redeemed. I don't. Yeah. And maybe she doesn't. But I want to explore what she saw down to literally the canon stuff. You and I are wondering, was she around the corner when Palpatine shows up at the temple and say, "Good job, Lord Vader"? Because you had pointed out to me, she only says Lord Vader. Now, she could say Darth Vader next week and all this is just fun.
It was a nice bit of continuity because that's what Obi-Wan heard, and that's the thing that fans have focused on of like, if Kenobi even hears the name Vader, he knows that's the Sith name that was given to Anakin. So it was really great that it was it was Lord Vader is what Kenobi hears in the security footage. And that's the turn of phrase that she uses. Almost as if she was there.
She was there. And again, whether or not the danger of predictions is putting something out there that you want to hold on to. But I think I want to see, I can't wait. It's not that I want to. I know we're going to explore a lot of, you don't frame the first part of the episode with her trauma, Order 66, all that kind of stuff. Without it factoring into a lot of what's going on with her.
Without raising the question of so many people being like, let Kenobi go. What's your deal with Kenobi? And for her to feel like she can't quite get to him yet, but it's a victory to let him know that he failed and Anakin is still alive.
Yeah.
And Anakin is not Anakin. He's Lord Vader and he is going to rip you to pieces.
Yeah. Vader's gonna kill you, but again, go back to Bale, very forcefully saying, and it's not easy. And I want anyone out there listening, if you're going through bad things in life, you've got lifelong trauma. It isn't easy, and it shouldn't be. But there's at some point where maybe you need a Bale to go move on. You got to figure out how. You got to do the work. You got to rise above all these wonderful things. I would never want to put out there that kind of path in your life is easy and the struggles aren't real. But I just love that she's got that too.
Yeah.
So how are you going to move on?
I think that's what's really, really powerful and really interesting. And when the first trailers came out and it seemed like, oh, no, she's not just kind of like a new big bad to be flashy. She's a character with an arc.
Explore it.
You know, the Inquisitors are very interesting to me because they've been pitched as characters who are entirely aware that they have been caught up in a cycle of violence and a cycle of trauma. They are fully aware. We are Jedi. We were captured, tortured, and broken. And now we're this.
Yeah.
And to have her not only have that journey that other Inquisitors have had, but potentially also have and I saw Skywalker at the temple. I know Skywalker is Vader. I looked up to Kenobi.
Yeah.
I have this opinion on the source of my trauma, and I'm going to make sure that the same thing happens to Kenobi that happened to me. That immediately creates this great Star Wars story of Kenobi is not going to get through to Vader, but is there any way where Kenobi or another character is able to get through to Riva and say, that's already been raised by the other Inquisitor. What are you going to get out of this? What I'm owed. Yeah. You know, and is there any possibility that Kenobi offers her a different path and she takes it to step out of the cycle of vengeance?
Yeah.
So super, super excited to see where her arc goes and on the depth and the flashbacks.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fun flashbacks.
And I'm not saying, I don't think we've seen the end of the Grand Inquisitor. I know a lot of people out there wondering about that, but
yeah, I don't think he's done. No, we've been through some moments where people have had bad things happen to their guts. Fennec Shand.
It's all right. Yeah. A little Band-Aid is good.
He'll be okay. He'll be fine.
What if he goes back to Tatooine and goes, I hear there's a mod parlor out here. They're just starting one up, right? It's a new mod parlor.
Yeah, just starting it up. That new generation. Still pretty young. I'm very excited about the next episode. I am affected by the trailers. We saw most of the scenes that we saw in the trailers, but there is some action that looks like it's back on Tatooine, so I'm very curious. We got the name drop of the planet that ship is heading toward, but the rate that this show is moving, I think we might glide past that, and Leia's back on Alderaan and Obi-Wan. I'm curious how immediately proactive Obi-Wan is going to be. I think that's the big question. Does he go back to Tatooine and tell Owen, Anakin's alive?
Yeah,
and I'm taking Luke and we're going.
Yeah,
and Owen is no. You know. Still got to handle it delicately of how much people can be aware that Obi-Wan is hiding on Tatooine, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see how they handle that. I'm also very curious to pick up with Anakin is he immediately on the hunt? Do we see like a great mirrored scene where this is a wild prediction, will probably not be accurate, but like Obi-Wan telling Owen, Anakin's alive, and Vader telling Sheev, Kenobi's alive. Yeah. And then both heading on their conflict path. So very, very curious to see that. And the final thing is, since we did get the Qui-Gon's not taking the call, down the road, I'm really hoping for the Qui-Gon is accessed. Qui-Gon is the reward for Kenobi working through his. It's
the cash back
business.
On your purchase. Yeah,
exactly.
But that it's beyond just an appearance and beyond just the use. Yeah, I think it's really valuable to use it if they go ahead and use it in that way. We'll see.
Yeah, very excited. All right, so we are going to wrap up with a fun question as we always do.
Yeah.
Unless, did you have something more?
One more thing. We do want to mention the work of Natalie Holt on the music. Wonderful. We got Williams doing the Kenobi theme, all the stuff, all through it, especially on a rewatch, and the Leia stuff and everything, and the chase. Great.
The shovel music in particular, which evoked some of that early Kenobi music, those little trills of mystery, like when Luke says Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that's a name I've not heard in a long time, and that sense of something old awakening. It's emotional, it's powerful, and it's also got this like we're slowly building to a triumphant theme kicking in.
It's great. Anyways,
absolutely phenomenal. All right, so fun question to wrap up. What merch do you want based on these first episodes?
I mean, I need a little Leia. I need a little Leia scale 3 3/4 because I got my 3 3/4 Leia connection going.
Yeah,
and I thought I had the earliest. I had teenage Leia from the Rebels. That's my that's my earliest Leia figure. Now I need, I know there's the Bail.
The separation of the twins.
Yeah, the Bail. Yeah, I know that. So maybe I do need that.
But yeah,
definitely want little Leia.
You want with poncho and gloves
and Lola.
And Lola. Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
Want that. That would be fun. And then, quite frankly, I think I want a Lola. Put some batteries in and fly it around. Little droid, little drone.
Full on Lola?
Yeah.
That would be absolutely great.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it a little bit. I love that weird pop-up work opportunity where some beast crashed in the sand. And
I'm calling it a sand whale or whatever you want, a sand shark.
Sand shark. And well, we got to harvest all the meat out of this thing.
Yeah.
So I don't have much more room for massive play sets, but the Obi-Wan goes to work gutting the space shark playset would be great.
Yesterday at one of the booths, you were shopping for figures. We'll recap this more on Force Center, but the guy was like, hey, look up there. I got that Jabba sail barge and the Razor Crest. You want it? Like, it's big. It's the one. Another, the crowdsourced ones. And I'm like, man, I can't take that. What are you doing? I can't take that home. No, absolutely not.
It's so big. But obviously they've already started to roll out the action figures, and the Kenobi, the toy phrase they're using is Wandering Jedi for the outfit he has on when he goes
that's awesome.
out in the galaxy. But I love that blue shirt so much. Yeah. I absolutely need blue Kenobi, deluxe blue Kenobi. A little play on
his
words.
Blue face.
Because he is blue emotionally, and he's got that beautiful blue shirt. And it comes with a Skyhopper toy and a meat chunk for his Eopie.
And we need the Eopie too. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So that is our big look at the first 2 episodes of Kenobi. We'll be back very soon as the next episode drops this coming Wednesday. Yeah. Ken, where can people find us?
Hey, we are the Force Center podcast feed. We can be found on Twitter at Force Center Pod. We're on Instagram and YouTube as well. You can also follow us on Facebook at Force Center Podcast. You can get an audio book on us by going to audibletrial.com/Force Center. And as someone told me yesterday here at the convention, I can hear Ken in my mind going tpublic.com/user/Force Center to get shirts on TeePublic, and you can support us directly at patreon.com/Force Center. You can follow me at Napzok or go to KenNapzok.com for information on all the things I do. If you're in SoCal on June 4th, got a big show at the Troubadour, comedy show, not music, at the Troubadour. Ticket information on my website. Joseph.
Yeah, you can find me Twitter, Instagram, TikTok is at Joseph Scrimshaw. I'm finding some great action figures that I'm not going to unbox, and I'll make some fun videos about them on social media, so go check that out. Everything else is on my website at josephscrimshaw.com. But for now, for myself, for Ken, for Kenobi's blue shirt and Leia's gloves, this has been the Kenobi Report.
Force